There's an organization in these books that doesn't want you to know about it. It doesn't have a website, it doesn't recruit, it doesn't issue press releases when one of its operations succeeds, and it doesn't issue them when one fails either, because it doesn't fail. If you've read book 3, you've heard the name. If you haven't, well, you'll hear it now, and once you've heard it, it tends to stay heard. Today, we're talking about the Mantle Militia. For anyone new here, I'm Marcus Zane. I write the man behind the Veil series, and on this channel, what I'm trying to do is something I haven't really seen done well with a book series before. The books tell you the story. This channel, this is where I open the world around the story. The factions, the history, the pieces that didn't make it onto the page, or that made it on so briefly you might have missed them. Today's piece is one of my favorites, and it's one of the few I can talk about at length without spoiling anything that actually happens. Because the Mantle Militia, as a topic, is bigger than any single thing they do in the books. Let's get into it. Here's the simplest version of what the Mantle Militia is. They are an underground bounty hunting organization. They specialize in the capture of Xenos. That's the universe's term for the kinds of beings most governments would prefer to pretend don't exist. The Mantle finds them, the Mantle takes them, the Mantle delivers them, and the Mantle gets paid. They've been operating since the late 1990s. Sit with that for a second. That means somewhere out there, right now, in the world of these books, there are operators who have been doing this work for almost 3 decades. Their senior people aren't amateurs. They're not even professionals. They are veterans of a job that, for all intents and purposes, they invented. And in that entire span, across decades, they have not lost a contract. Not one, not ever. If you're sitting there thinking, okay, that's a strong claim, every organization fails sometimes, you're right to be skeptical. I was skeptical. So let me be precise about what I mean. The NHA, the Null Horizon Authority, which is the largest official xeno-containment apparatus in this universe by orders of magnitude, has tried for years to find these people. They have not succeeded. They've intercepted cargo. They've flagged shipping lanes. They've photographed individual operators from very long lenses, in very poor light, and sometimes from very far away. What they have never done is locate the Mantle's headquarters. What they have never done is name the Mantle's leadership. And what they have never done in all that time is intercept a Mantle target before the Mantle was finished with it. So when I say they don't lose contracts, I mean it the way the people inside this world mean it, as a fact about the world, not as marketing. So, why Mantle? There's a cute answer and a literal answer. The cute answer is that they like their branding, which they do. They are very, very proud of their branding, and we'll come back to that. The literal answer is that they live underground, not they have a basement office somewhere, not they meet in old subway tunnels for atmosphere. I mean that the main operation of the Mantle Militia, the mother house, the heart of the thing, is a cave system. Specifically, a cave system in South America. Specifically, a cave system that, according to the few sources who've written about it at all, is older than every country that currently claims the land above it. That's the joke embedded in the name. They don't live in a country, they live under one. They live in the part of the earth that doesn't change when borders move. Governments come and governments go, and the Mantle is still down there, in the rock, doing what it does. It's in the name. Read it again. The Mantle. To date, nobody on the outside has confirmed that location with their own eyes. In the entire history of the Mantle's relationship with the official world, exactly 2 people from the official side have been invited down there. 2, in about 30 years, and neither of them, as far as we can tell, ever wrote about it. So when I say South American cave system, that's the closest thing to an address that exists. It is not actually an address. The Mantle does not have an address. While we're on branding, let's talk about the logo. If you're listening to this on audio, here's the picture. A triangle. Inside the triangle, a glowing lantern hangs from the apex, throwing yellow-green light over a pair of stylized capital M's at the base. Around the lantern, the cave walls, green, mossy, lit. The triangle frame is wood brown with a gold inner border. Every piece of that is doing work. The triangle is geological. 3 points, a slice of the earth, the shape of a mountain seen in cross-section, the shape of a cave entrance. The triangle is also, deliberately, the shape of a thing that points down. The lantern is the part I'm proudest of, and I want you to notice. The light source is not the sun. It's not modern. It's a flame. The Mantle, as an organization, lights its own way. They don't borrow light from the surface. They bring it with them. The 2 M's are the Militia. They're cavern-shaped. They look like stalagmites, or like the legs of something standing in the dark. And the green, that's not jungle green, by the way. That's bioluminescent cave green. The kind of green you only see in places that have been underground long enough to evolve their own lighting. Every faction in this series has a sigil. The Mantles might be my favorite of all of them. It tells you almost everything you need to know about them in one image. Now, the thing you actually need to understand about the Mantle, if you're going to understand anything about them at all, there is one rule. 1. Money only. That's the rule. That's the whole rule. I'm going to spend the next 2 minutes unpacking it because it's the most important sentence anyone in these books will ever say about the Mantle. They take contracts. They take them for money. They do not take them for ideology. They do not take them for loyalty. They do not take them for love. They do not take them for hate. If you can pay them, they will work for you. If you cannot, they will not. If a third party can pay them more to stop working for you, they will stop. If a third party can pay them more to work against you, and this is the line you have to write on the inside of your skull, they will. This is a big deal, and I want you to understand why. In a story full of factions, and the Veil universe is full of factions, most of those factions have a side. They believe something, they want something, they hate something. The NHA wants to suppress and study Xenos. Other groups want to liberate them. Other groups want to weaponize them. Other groups want to be them. The Mantle wants to be paid. That's it. That is the entire ideology of the Mantle Militia. It is a refusal to have an ideology. It is a deliberate, structural refusal built into the founding documents of the organization, baked into how their leadership talks to their operators, embedded in the way they price contracts and the way they enforce them. Inside the universe, when officials brief their successors about the Mantle, the word they use is tool. The Mantle is a tool. You handle it the way you'd handle any sharp tool, with respect, with care, and with the understanding that the second you forget what it is, it'll take a finger off. You don't befriend the Mantle. You hire the Mantle. And one of the lessons that runs underneath the entire series, and I will say no more about this here, is what happens to people who forget that distinction. Okay, so let's say you've got a problem the Mantle could solve. Maybe you've got a Xeno you can't catch. Maybe you've got a target the official channels can't touch. You've got money, you're willing to spend it. You want to hire the Mantle. How do you reach them? It's a trick question, you don't. I mean that. You don't reach the Mantle, you can't. There is no number, there is no email, there is no embassy, there is no front company that will pass a message along. Here's how it actually works. You put out a signal. That's the official term for it, a signal. The shape of that signal is one of the most closely guarded operational secrets in the universe of these books, and I am not going to describe it on this channel, because I'd like to keep my channel. You put out the signal, and then you wait. The Mantle decides whether to answer. If they decide they're not interested in your contract, for any reason, including reasons you will never know, you will get no answer at all. The signal will simply die. There is no rejection letter. There is no, we'll get back to you. There is silence. If they decide they are interested, they come to you on their timing, through their channels, in their way. You will not pick the meeting. You will not pick the location. You will not even, in some cases, pick the people you're meeting with. There's a phrase the older NHA officials use when they're handing this protocol off to the next generation. They say it's short, memorable, and one of those things you don't write down. That's the texture of the Mantle. They are an organization that operates almost entirely on word of mouth, handoff, ritual. They have been around for 30 years, and they have left, on the public record, almost no record, which, when you think about it, is its own kind of achievement. Most organizations leak. The Mantle somehow doesn't. Now, I want to give you a piece of texture about them that I love and that I think makes them more interesting than your standard elite mercenaries trope. The Mantle is theatrical. I don't mean campy. I don't mean clownish. I mean that they have an absolute, unshakable sense of professional drama. They like to be reminded that you need them. They negotiate hard. They take their time. They make a whole thing of every contract. Even the small ones. Even the routine ones. Even the ones they were always going to take anyway. If you read the books, you'll see this come up. Officials inside the universe complain about it. They roll their eyes about it. They tell their successors, listen, the Mantle is going to make you wait 3 weeks for a yes they could have given you in 3 hours. That's part of dealing with them. Build it into your timeline. And here's the thing I want you to notice. That's not a flaw. That's strategy. The Mantle, every time they make a client wait, is reminding the client of the asymmetry of the relationship. The client needs them. They don't need the client. The client has a problem they can't solve. The Mantle is the solver of last resort. And the Mantle would like the client to feel that deeply before any pen touches any paper. It's a power move. It's a 30-year-old power move, and it has not stopped working. The Mantle, in short, knows exactly what it is, and it is not embarrassed about it. Let's talk about what they actually do, because we've been circling. The Mantle's specialty is clean, live, quiet capture. That sentence is the most important description of their craft anywhere in the series. Let me unpack each word. Clean, meaning no collateral, no dead bystanders, no torched buildings, no surveillance footage. They go in, they take what they came for, they leave. The place they came from looks the same as it did before they arrived, sometimes cleaner. Live, meaning the asset is alive when it's delivered. This is the Mantle's main competitive edge. Most government efforts to capture Xenos kill the asset somewhere between 60 and 90% of the time, depending on the type of Xeno. The Mantle's number is, as best anyone has measured, in the low single digits. Quiet, meaning nobody saw it happen. No witnesses, no leaks, no rumors. If a Mantle operation runs the way it's supposed to run, the only people who know it happened are the buyer, the seller, and the asset itself. And again, they do this on contract, dozens of times a year at a 100% completion rate that is held since the late 90s. That's not an exaggeration. That's the number. Now, here's where I get to tease. Here's what I, as the author, am not telling you on this channel. I am not telling you who founded the Mantle Militia. That is a Book 3 reveal. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not telling you what the Mantle's relationship to the larger Zaneverse looks like across all 4 books. That's something you discover as the books unfold. I am not telling you, specifically, what the Mantle's command structure looks like. There's something there. It is interesting. It will surprise you. I'll let it. What I will tell you is this. The Mantle is one of the few factions in this universe whose loyalty cannot be commanded by anyone, anywhere, at any price, except by paying them. And that means, over the course of these books, they end up in some genuinely unexpected places. If a faction can be bought, then by definition, a faction can be bought by anyone with money. And in this universe, money exists in some surprising places, held by some surprising people, for some surprising reasons. That's all I'll say. The rest, read the books. All right, that's the Mantle Militia. If you've never read the series, books 1 through 4 are out. Book 3, Breaking Point, is where the Mantle steps onto the page in earnest. That's the book where Marcus, yes, the character, not me, gets handed the file. If you have read the series, drop your favorite Mantle moment in the comments. I read those. Subscribe if you want more lore drops like this. The next one's already in the can. And join our community Discord to talk all things Zaneverse and take the official faction quiz to find out which faction you belong to. I'm Marcus, Zane. Thanks for watching.